Hello and welcome to another Wizan podcast. In today's podcast, we'll be speaking with Steve McNamara from the LTDA, and we're going to discuss the new law about 6 points on your licence, which can come with a 7-year ban for driving a taxi, the Heathrow tag scandal, the new tax code for PHVs, which inadvertently seems to benefit the taxi trade, and why all knowledge students should join the LTDA, amongst other things. But before we start, please like the video, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and ring the notification bell so that you are notified on any new uploads. Our podcast can be listened to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, and Amazon Podcasts, where you will also find all our previous podcasts. So I hope you enjoyed today's podcast and look out for us every Wednesday at noon.
Current times.
I'm going to cut that bit.
I mean,
I couldn't remember when Pod went.
diesel was about 80p a litre then. I mean, was it still black and white telly?
It was, but no, actually diesel was 49 pence a litre, 39 pence a litre when I started, but it was probably much cheaper when you started.
Yeah, well, God was the boy I started.
Welcome today, Stephen. Thank you for coming and doing this with us. And we wanted to basically, I know you have some specific questions, but it's just a nice to have a chat and see. What I wanted to know is, are the LTDA still currently offering free membership for knowledge students?
Yeah, we do a knowledge associate scheme for knowledge students. Yeah, I mean, it's basically if you're on the knowledge and you don't take advantage of it, you're nuts. Basically, we'll help you with anything. So if you've got a problem with your DBS, like I was just speaking to one of your students out there who's just got a wreck,
yep.
and she's saying people are having problems with DBSs and stuff. Well, you know, if you're an associate member, we'll help you with that. If someone was having problems uploading pictures to TFL, again, we can help with that.
Yeah.
PCNs and stuff, we'll give advice on. Look, as I always tell knowledge students when I come round, I've certainly done it at your school. If you're a knowledge associate member, we'll help you. If you murder someone, I'm not going to defend you. I'm not going to spend hundreds of thousands of pounds defending you. But for most of the issues that you're going to have as a knowledge student, we'll defend you and we'll look after you, and it'll cost you nothing.
So it's actually quite surprising how many knowledge students, when it's free, don't actually join.
Look, the taxi world or taxi land is not a mystery to me. It's why don't they join?
Well, maybe that's saying this will be. That was the thought that I was having certainly with this particular podcast. Is I think pretty much everyone who's on the knowledge is watching our podcast because of the numbers that are there.
You have told them all, the game's dead.
The Game's Dead is the name of this particular podcast.
And it always has been.
Yes. I know when I started, they were definitely very, very serious, the older drivers, that the game was dead in 1996. So I don't know when you started, but I'm sure that it was the same deal.
I started driving a cab in the mid-80s, and I was talking to blokes then who had been obviously at it for 50 years. So that takes you way back. And they used to tell you that the game was dead when they put roofs on buses. That was when the game died. And it's died many times since.
Yeah.
But, who was it who said, our death has been greatly exaggerated. And
so when buses had roofs on buses, and
that's when the game died, according to the old boys I used to eat with back in the mid-80s. And it's died many times since. If you wasn't on the radio, the game would die, and the radio circuits have come. Look, we've had probably the worst 5 or 6 years
by far that
the cab trade's ever had. I mean, the 1990 recession, which was pretty awful, and anyone who was out there then, where we had suicides, they couldn't repossess any cabs. There was nowhere to put them. But the pandemic, on top of the apps, the Ubers, thinking of doing the knowledge, it really is, as anyone who's driving a cab now will tell you, we're back to where we should have been. We're back to where we're going to stay. And there's various reasons. I mean, I can bore you with it as to why we are where we are. The game at the moment is great. And there's various reasons for it. But we're doing really, really well. So anyone who's thinking of doing the knowledge or doing the knowledge, don't listen to me. If you've got a family friend or you can find a friendly cab driver who's going to tell you, the bottom line is it's a really good time to do the knowledge, and it's a really good time to join our community. Anyone who's thinking of doing the knowledge at the moment, doing it, just needs to get on with it, because at the moment it's a good living to be earned out there, flexible hours, come and go how you want. And it is the best job in the world, and you can just come out and do it and get on with it.
I did delete someone on the YouTube comments the other day. He put his name up, funny enough, and I think I recognise him. I won't repeat his name, but it was so negative and miserable. And what was the point? I wanted to say, and I think I may have replied, are you still working as a cab driver? Because your negativity was so pronounced that really and truly this is not a game for you. If you mentioned it's the loneliest job in the world and you're earning £15 an hour, I may as well do this, and it's like, wow, you are in the wrong job.
He's not driving a cab at the moment. He can't be.
That's what it seemed like to me, yes.
Yeah. I mean, look, driving a cab, when I first started driving a cab, there was no mobile phones. So the big difference now is, it's not that long ago, right? But now, and people used to talk to you. Everybody used to get in a cab and talk to you. Now people talk to you less, but equally, you can now talk to your wife, your kids, your friends, and stay in touch. So it's not as lonely as it was.
I never found it lonely. I must be, I've spoken to other people, and I know that certain drivers find it really lonely. I really found it a contemplation time and getting away from the family and just having some moments to yourself and put the radio on and peace and quiet. I really enjoyed it.
It's what you bring to the job, isn't it? If you're a negative person, you're going to spread negativity to your passengers. And I find it that it's not lonely because I'm speaking to people I've never met before.
Well, it's always exciting.
And there's always something to talk about because they're all different. Everyone's got a different personality.
Yeah.
But if you're not prepared to talk to people, then it's going to be lonely, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I've picked up some great people over the years, and I picked up some nutters as well. But it's a great job. You drive around, you look at, and nowadays you can play a podcast, you can learn to speak Spanish or whatever, while you're driving around. It really is. It's a brilliant job. The key thing, there's two good things. Look, when I first got out, someone said to me, "There's two good things about being a cab driver." Is number one is unlimited overtime, and number two, you can park outside Selfridges. Well, parking outside Selfridges is a bit awkward now. You can still park around.
You get nearby.
You can still get nearby, and the unlimited overtime's there, and you can come and go as you want. So, I don't understand why more women don't do it.
No, that's fascinating. Yeah, we try to.
It's a really big subject for us at the moment, isn't it?
They tend to be primary carers. That's just how it is.
Yeah,
you can fit it in around school runs. You can fit it in, doing other stuff. And you can earn a real good wage while doing it, and it gives you the independence you want. And all the women I know, my wife drives a cab, and all the people I know, all the women I know who are driving cabs, they absolutely love it. It is the best job. It's a great job. I've always loved this job. I don't get out in a cab very often now. When I was driving a cab, I loved it. I was one of the few cab drivers back in the day who wasn't looking for a job. I genuinely wasn't. I love driving a cab.
Me too.
Yeah, and I could go back to driving a cab tomorrow. To be fair, it'd take me a while to pick up some of these road closures, but I could do it. And especially how it is now, it's great.
Well, you do know that's a criticism that gets flung at you and me in the same sense. And probably people,
massively.
That we are not, number one, reliant on driving the cab, but I drove the cab for 15 years, hardcore, day in, day out. So I've done
your bird.
I've done it, yeah.
You've done your bird. We've all done our bird.
I still do it. I'm still going to carry on going out. Now with getting a cab off you is quite easy, Paul, so I will still keep popping out. But we don't rely on it as our number one income, but loving it, I absolutely loved being out there. It wasn't a problem. And coming home every night, especially when you first started, you start counting out the cash. Oh, that was his other complaint. There's no cash anymore, which there is...
But let me tell you, I got absolutely slaughtered for that. Back in 2015, we were talking to TfL and they were talking about mandating credit cards. And there was a large number, a noisy minority on the social media at the time and in our branch meetings. We don't want to take cards. Why should I give credit to a banker? I don't want the card machine in the back. I want it in the front. And the reason the card machine had to go in the back, prior to that, if you went up to a cab, that was the answer. And if you were going to Timbuktu, they took cards. And if you were going to Liverpool Street, they didn't. And so what we did, the other groups wanted to challenge it and they were going to take TfL to court and all of that. And I just wasn't having it. And I got slaughtered for it.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the bottom line is now, that credit card machine in the back of the cab has been our saviour, because there's a whole generation of people, and increasingly so, who have got no cash. And it's took them 3 or 4 years to learn, after we had the cards fitted, that they could put their hand up, get in a cab, touch their card, their phone and now their watch, go where they wanted. Yeah, they ring now or whatever. And
is it real?
Yeah,
and I've seen it. Yeah, and look, it was our saviour. Yeah. The other thing that's helped us enormously, and it's a bit controversial still, is passengers love these new cabs.
Yeah,
they just do. It's not this green and it's clean. It's a nice place to be.
Yeah,
it's a little mini office.
Yeah, and that coupled, you know, with the cards are our biggest saviour. And that's why we're doing so well, because these younger demographics. And of course now, look, we should be grateful to Uber. Right? And everyone, why should we be grateful to Uber? They taught a whole generation of people, younger people, you don't get the bus or the tube when you're going out, you get a minicab.
Yeah.
And now these people can't get a minicab, and I can bore you with all the reasons they can't. And if they do, it's going to cost them 2, 3, 4 or 5 times as much as they used to pay. They're now getting in cabs, cabs. And they're realising they can touch and go. They don't go far. They're a few hundred yards up the road mostly, but they can jump in a cab and they're doing it. And that is another reason that we're doing so well. And honestly, I can't see anything. I mean, who can see around the corner? You know, we never saw the apps coming, but at the moment, there is nothing on the horizon other than good times coming for us and a more adoption of us. And also, I think Londoners have welcomed us back. They never really fell out of love with us. What they fell out of love with, what they fell in love with, was being able to get someone at 3 o'clock in the morning, take you home for a £5 and be waiting on the corner for 2 hours to do it. And now that's gone. I think they have sort of finally realised that, you know, we're not only a better option, now we're a more realistic and cost-effective option. Again, that's what we're doing as well. There's so many factors.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of drivers have raised their game? I mean,
Yes.
Yeah, because the one bad driver just ruins it for 100. You're refusing fares. The publicity for refusing fares is terrible. And all of our PR is very word of mouth, that you refuse a fare, that refused fare tells their family, everybody hates cab drivers. And then you've got other drivers, and I want to include myself in that, where you're doing fares for free because they got in, there was a little bit of a problem, you just let them go, they didn't have quite enough money, there's a little story.
My wife one day last week dropped a job in Mayfair outside the Brands Hotel, and the doorman's sort of trying to steer this woman in the cab, and she knew, obviously, anyway, she wanted to go to Crouch End at like 5 o'clock in the evening. She'd been turned down 4 or 5 times. She takes her to Crouch End. Not only does the woman more than compensate her for the journey, she turns the apps on and gets the job back to Paddington.
Yeah.
You've got to be in it to win it.
Yes.
And you know, that negative, I'm not going there attitude, it went for a lot, it has gone, but it's creeping back a little bit with some guys.
Yeah. That's where the apps come into their own when you get thrown out to subs. That's what they're for a lot of drivers. Will only use them in the suburbs.
Why are there people not on the apps? Why is every cab driver not on an app? Why are they narrowing down their market field?
Right, well, the reason for that is obviously the fees, you know, and you can understand it. Why am I giving get 20% or free now 15% of a job, whereas if I took it off the street, I would keep 100% of it?
Yes, true. But that fare from Hornsey, 15% of nothing is nothing.
And there you go. You know, you can have 100% of nothing, or you can have 85% of something.
And it's the choice, isn't it? The taxi driver's done the knowledge to have the choice.
Yeah.
The minicab driver's got no choice, so he has to rely on the apps. I mean, I've got in a few minicabs the last few weeks because of where I live, and I've noticed that they've got really clean cars, they're really polite, but they're stressed and they're upset and they're anxious, and they're kind of a slave to the apps. Yeah. And I've spoke to them about the knowledge, and they all want to do it.
Yeah, they're earning less,
really
aren't they now?
They all really want to do the knowledge, but they feel like there's a barrier because they don't feel like they can do it in a sufficient time. They feel like it's going to take them too long. So I've explained the changes, and Steve was a big part of that. Because obviously, we all spoke about that, and that's how it's kind of changed. And you know,
look, one of the mysteries in life to me is when I did it. Average, I think I've got the stats. I think it was 22 months on average. I think I did it in about 18 months. It was 22 months. Now it's up over 60 months.
Yes.
So how has it gone from 22 months to 60 months? What's changed? And then the people say to you, hang on, they'll say to you, Canary Wharf. Well, Canary Wharf ain't that big. Right? And no, that's what they tell you. Canary Wharf wasn't there when you did it. Yeah. But and then they'll tell you, but what they fail to tell you is the city back then.
Everywhere you could go.
You could go everywhere. Now you can't. So all them little lanes, any of these little lanes that you used to be able to go down that you now can't. So they've all gone. So that's got to equal out. One-way systems. There's far less one-way systems now. Things like Piccadilly and St James's, it's all changed. Yeah. So it's much easier, if you like, to negotiate. So granted, there's more restaurants and points. But how has it gone from 22 months to 60 months? Something's not right.
True. And why are cab drivers protesting the fact of trying to get that back to a more realistic opportunity?
I don't think cab drivers are, to be honest with you. No? I think what it is, it's the usual thing that we have in this game. There are very few people on social media, there are very few people that are vociferous. You know what I say about empty vessels making the most
Yes,
noise.
absolutely true.
And screaming. And the same people who were screaming, you know, that I didn't fight against credit cards in cabs, those same people are the ones screaming, we don't want the knowledge change. Well, the knowledge last changed in 2020. And it went from 470 runs to 320.
2020?
No, that's way back. That was 2000.
2000, not 2000, not 2020. Yeah. I made that mistake in an
article.
It went
from 400 to 320.
That's right. That was 2000, not 20. I keep saying 20. So that was in 2000. That was 22 years ago. Yeah, and it's due a review, and they're doing a review now.
Yes.
And you know, we need to keep the standard, but we need to get it back to a reasonable time frame.
When you say keep the standard, though, Steve, the standard has progressively escalated with competitiveness, and that was the point that I tried to make to them at TfL. Is if you have 6,000 people competing for badges, you can make the standard as high as you like and have only the best that come through. But there is how many now on the knowledge? Is it 1,000?
It's right. The numbers are right down.
Yeah, we're 1,000 people on the knowledge. They're competing for a different amount of badges now. So to make the standard so high,
what's the population of London? Sorry to interrupt.
About 10 million.
10 million people in London. So many job vacancies in London, and we've got 1,000 people on the knowledge.
Well,
that sounds.
Well, that's a combination of things. The pandemic, obviously, nobody signed
of
on
course.
the pandemic. And 2015, 2016, you speak to cab drivers, you won't be signing on the knowledge, especially looking at it on social media.
Yeah.
So that has changed. I think the numbers are slightly up. More people are looking at it. But it doesn't need, and you talk about a higher standard because they were competing. That's not the case. It shouldn't be like that. It is the case, but it shouldn't be like that. The standard is here, and when you meet it, whether there's 1 million people doing it or 10 people doing it, that should be the pass rate. You know, that should be the standard. And I'm still baffled as to how we've gone from an average of 22 months to 60 months. I mean, when I was doing the knowledge, if someone had took 5 years to do it, you would have been taking the mickey. There'd have been something wrong with him. There's some problems, and now it's the norm. And what's changed?
I think the recent change of not going back a stage has really helped.
Well,
it's given a lot of people more.
You've now hit the nail on the head where the problems began to get worse.
Yes.
Was when the 2000 changes came in. In the year 2000, when the changes came into 320 runs. Do you remember Ted Howes? Because in Summerburger, they were behind that. And the idea of the way they wrote the Blue Book runs, in hindsight now, you wouldn't have known it at the time, but it's flawed the way they wrote they decided the start and finish points. You can do it much more scientifically than they've done it. They've done it based on a clock face. But then they also brought in the scoring system, and the scoring system gave the punishment system, and all of that made negative impact slowly over time. And the punishment, when we did it, there was no punishment. If you was the worst, if you was the worst person on the knowledge, you stayed on 28.
Yep.
But how could you make it that far and then go back is the thing that is certainly for me has always been very controversial.
That's gone, thank you.
And so these people that I met in minicabs, they don't know about this. They don't know that this change has been made. This is a massive change.
They're going on 20 years now of that how the knowledge is from the past 20 years, and it needs to
be out there. It needs to be out there that actually you can do it in two.
More and more people doing the knowledge because of the numbers involved were current or former private hire drivers.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. So one of the things that I've repeatedly raised with TfL constantly is they've got a database, they've got a pool of 120, 130, 40,000 people who are either currently licensed to be a private hire driver or were licensed. They've got their data. They should be contacting them, saying to them, look, you're driving a minicab, you want to come and work for yourself, you can do the knowledge, this is what is involved. And TfL say, oh, no, we can't, it's data protection, all that. Well, no, it's not, because it's their data, they're contacting, they're not trying to sell another service, they're just telling them about something else TfL do.
Yeah.
And we've been pushing that. And hopefully, when this review that's currently being done comes out, that's one of the things that they can
look at. That would be a good... And like you say, when they send something out to someone who's a private hire driver, it could have the sort of diluted application process in it, ready to go. All you need to do... sign and dot here because we've got most of your details. Let's go ahead and get running quickly.
Yeah, that's really exciting because I've always said about attacking their numbers because they've really attacked our numbers over the years.
They're struggling with numbers now.
We all are, but that's a route into attacking their number.
There's really is number reliant, isn't it? They need the more drivers they can
High.
get on the road, they can...
Because they want them competing against each other,
Yes.
getting the surge up and all that carry on. Whereas
Well,
we
they
just want
don't
them.
want them getting the surge up. They want them all working for nothing. They want
Yeah.
one
Well,
in
yeah,
every
yeah,
corner
yeah,
working for
true,
nothing.
yeah.
The way that the advertising has always worked best is that you tell your mate, you should do this. It's worth doing. And that, like you said, with the COVID era, that kind of
That's how I
dwindled
got
away.
involved, yeah.
But I want to point out with Leah, who you just met, and her partner George, they've just completed it in 2.5 years. They've completed it during the COVID time. And I've know a few other students who are very similar. Rather than back in, we're in our 50s. We've got to get a job somewhere. I mean, you're not in your 50s. You're
yeah.
much younger.
Another mistake.
Yeah.
I can go anywhere and be dug out. I don't have to come here. I'll tell you. There's a queue of people waiting to dig me out. Don't worry about that.
But my point is, what do you do at our age to go and get another job? It's a great job to
Why would you
be
want
in.
it?
Yeah. Could you imagine getting up for 9 o'clock to be somewhere? I mean,
Well, some thousands of people have over COVID, I suppose. Where have they all gone? That's what I want to know.
What we've seen a gradual and now quite an accelerated return. We lost quite a lot of members over the COVID, as you can imagine. They weren't driving a cab. 80% weren't, and we're now seeing them come back in numbers. They're returning and they're coming back because the game's good.
Yeah. We're getting so many inquiries, and they all want electric cabs.
And what used to happen is they didn't want to. And a lot of the guys that left, even during COVID, very quickly came back because they were not used to being told what to do. They've gone to drive for a supermarket or whatever.
That's it.
And someone's telling them you've got to be there at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock. And the guy's like, well, no, I'll take the kids to school this morning. On Wednesday, I'm playing golf. No, you're not. You've got to be here at 7 o'clock in the morning. What, and stay here? Yeah, all day. And they couldn't, that discipline, they couldn't, because the great thing about driving a cab and the thing you get used to so easy is the flexibility.
Yes.
And your boss gets back out of the cab because your boss is your punter, and you speak to him for 5 minutes. He might annoy you, but he's getting out of the cab.
So
Whereas your boss on site or on the supermarket, you're with him from 7 till 4. So, you're stuck with him.
well, if we go back, in 1996, my rental on my first cab was £200 a week. So I had a brand new one from Ascot's, M registration, I think it was.
Cool.
And now at the moment, a brand new one is $360.
Roundabout.
So
Depending on how you want to do the deal.
yeah, so it does seem, I think, compared to 1996 and coming on through the late 90s, we earn probably the same amount of money at the moment to what we was earning then, but the overheads have got increased a little bit. So we're not as well off.
No, that's not actually, If you and me had had this conversation a year ago or pre-pandemic, I would have been agreeing with you. But that's not the case at the moment. Anyone driving a cab who's listening to this knows what you're earning at the moment. And if you put a little bit of effort in and do the hours, the extra cost of a rental cab. Well, look, when I first started driving a cab, I rented a brand new Q cab. You don't even know what that is, right? I rented a brand new Q cab, and it was £100 a week.
Yeah.
And it was a brand spanking new Q cab, and that was £100 a week. So that's 86. And then 10 years later, 96, you were paying £200 a week for a cab. And here we are now, 20
years later.
20 years later, and it
hasn't quite doubled.
It hasn't quite doubled. So, and the thing with the electric,
I have plans to double it. Don't worry. Don't worry,
and look,
gents.
the thing with these electric cabs is if you can charge at home, right? I think that's the key issue. And
Yeah.
if you can charge at home,
Yeah, that's the one. That's the game changer.
they're so cheap to run.
Yeah.
They are so cheap to run. If you can charge at home, and
The Octopus tariff, if you can
Yeah,
get there,
night tariff or-
the
yeah.
night 2:30 a.m. to 6:30 a.m.
So you're charging overnight, it's cheap,
Yeah,
cheap
yeah.
to
You
charge.
get a better tariff. I mean, I don't know how long this is going to last with all this energy price increases, but it's still a lot cheaper than fuel.
it's still a lot cheaper than
Loads.
And also petrol-wise, if you're running it on the generator, you get 34, 35 out of it, sometimes more.
Per gallon, yeah.
I never got more than 20 out of a fairway on a good day.
No,
And
no.
even my TX4, I'd be lucky to get 21, 22
Yeah,
out
the
of
same.
it.
Yeah.
So, I've got 50% more on fuel. And it's a totally game changer.
So you are a big fan of the electric taxi by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I'm a fan of electric vehicles. I mean, look, anyone who drove the cabs that I first drove, no
Yeah.
power steering. And this is in the 80s, not the
Yeah.
50s. No power steering, no power brakes, little quarter-light windows if you wanted to get cool.
Yeah.
No radio. You know, you had arms like Arnie Schwarzenegger to turn it around.
You had to lean across to open it.
Yeah, lean across, slide the window down. You know, anyone who drove one of those to suddenly get into, you know, a TXE, it's
dream.
It's the equivalent of going from a sort of Ford Anglia to a Tesla. Not that Tesla's that great.
I've got quite a lot of older drivers now, like in their 70s, that have said like exactly the same as Steve. You know, this is the best cab I've ever driven, and I don't mind paying this money because it's well worth it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a legitimate upgrade.
It's a luxury vehicle, without any doubt.
It's like driving a nice car.
Yeah.
And driving a cab was like driving a 1950s commercial vehicle, the old cab.
Yeah,
and even the latter fairways, and everyone goes on about fairways and the old fairways. And I had a 57 plate TX4, and that was quite nice to drive. It had aircon and it
fast.
Yeah, it was okay, but it wasn't a patch on driving an electric vehicle. So customers love it. We're doing really well with it. I mean, I quite like the dynamos as well. People don't like them. I quite like them.
I went past one earlier, and the customers were inside, and I could only just see them because there's a little peephole.
Yeah.
Just to see them, and that was the thing that I thought.
Isn't this the one that's finished?
Sort of, yeah. I think it is over.
Yeah, they can't get the models anymore.
Yeah.
Although I've got some people coming to see me next week who are looking at doing another vehicle, but I hear that all the time.
I was going to ask you that, Steve, actually, because, you know, LEVC are the only legitimate manufacturer now. So do you know of anything that's going to come along, and why would they?
The vast majority of the time that I've been involved with this game, for more than not, there's only ever been one cab anyway. So we had a Metro cab that came and went, and then it came and went, and it came and went, and then we had the Vito. We had the Vito for 10 years? When was the first one?
So
not sure on the Vito. It wasn't a great cab.
Yeah, 10 years, just about 10.
So most of the time,
8 years.
Something
like that.
Most of the time we haven't had competition. I've got some people coming to see me, but they're not the first people who've been in recent weeks or recent times. And lots of people are looking at converting electric vans, but cost-wise, I don't think it's economic.
Into making them cabs?
Yeah, to make them cabs.
I don't think it works. And there was an issue, we raised this about the monopolies idea. People saying, oh, it's a monopoly. If you are going to compete, you've got to compete on the same basis of making a purpose-built vehicle that's looking very similar, because it's the look is a big part of it.
Yeah, I mean, we did a member survey recently, and we asked various questions about what do you think about vehicles, and it was really interesting because the guys who own or drive TX4s and TXEs thought the turning circle was all important and one of the most important things. The guys who drive Vitos didn't, not at all. And
they're the ones doing the 3-point turns.
Yeah, and the guys
Liverpool Street.
And the guys driving the Dynamos were 50-50. It's what you're used to a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But given
it's the shoes you wear.
Yeah, given the choice, I think. But look, these people are looking. But the problem is we're designing a van or converting a van. An EV van now with a 220, 230 mile range to buy is about 45, 50 grand. That's just to buy the van. By the time you was to convert it, put a petition in, do something with a rear wheel steer, put the seat layout in the back, it's going to be the same price as the TXE. And I just don't think it's economic for anybody.
No, it doesn't sound like it at all. So when they're talking about the price being high, it seems to be reasonably about the price that you can make the vehicle for and sell it for. I mean, we do have an exclusive monopoly market, but it's a very niche market we have here.
Yeah.
Look, the cab is expensive, and it'd be great if it was cheaper. But then when people look at the price of our cab, you need to look at equivalent vehicles. And you're buying a Volvo or something of that size that's either hybrid or there's no range extended left now, but you're hybrid. They're 70, 80, 90 grand. And they make the cab look cheap. I mean, the Tesla, the cheapest Tesla is what, 40 grand now? 50
45.
45 grand. And it's not the size of our vehicle. It's not got the capacity. So, yeah, they are expensive. But when you start comparing them to other stuff, the reason cab drivers think they're expensive is a lot of them can remember paying 20 grand for a fairway. Yeah. But they forget it was 35 years ago.
It was 35 years ago, yeah.
And then also you can't compare, and that's why. They are expensive, but, the game's good and
We're 4 years into this vehicle now, and obviously it was rushed in a little bit because of legislation. That's what I think. And when it came, there was a lot of problems with it. But as we've gone along, then problems have been ironed out, and we're getting to a stage now where the newest cab, which I've got one out there now, seems to be really efficient. Yeah.
So there's some upgrades on this one.
Yeah. So it's mostly software, and this ERAD, which we spoke about on another podcast, that they've uprated and put another software.
You don't think you'll get the ERAD problem now?
I'm hoping not.
Yeah, but you see, you talk about cabs and failing points, and thus has it always been.
It's always been
It's
the same.
always been. I mean, everyone talks about the fairway, the Great Fairway.
Yeah.
Well, the very first
Nissan engine.
the very first fairways, and I was around on a day like today. When you braked, if you braked hard, the fan went through the radiator because the radiator was and TFL and M&Os used to say, no, it's not a problem, not a problem. And then 3 months down, they moved the radiator an inch forward.
Of course.
So then they bring out the TX1. Great. Oh, by the way, it's when they did the fairway, when they first changed the suspension, you went through a certain bump, the thing would shake and jump from one side of the road to the other.
Yeah.
They had to fit dampers. And the great TX1, you know, look at it, iconic vehicle, Nissan engine, bulletproof. I went to the motor show when they launched it, and Lord Borwick, Jamie Borwick, who was he was obviously rightly proud of it. They'd got the design right and all of that, but they'd missed some crucial points. They never had a gap in the partition window. So if someone slammed the back door, there was nowhere for the air to go. The back window used to pop out, and it would hang on the heated screen wire. Very common.
Yeah.
And they never had stays on the door. So on a windy day, the door would fly back.
Yeah.
And the highlights were stuck on with new revolutionary glue. And in the rain on the motorway...
Was this the one when you used to open up the door, the rain had collected in the gutter,
That's it.
and then you open up the door, you got soap?
That's
But
right.
do you know what the difference is now? So what you're saying is unbelievable. But if that was now, can you imagine the social media on that? You
Yeah,
know,
but that's just how it was.
yeah,
You knew
because
that.
everyone knew it and accepted it. But now, because of social media and the spotlight on everything and things like
when that came out,
things
though,
get done
the TX,
quicker.
Yeah, they said they were all saying it was a Nissan Micra over
On steroids.
Yeah, and it was like, so there was the negativity coming through for all the people who had the fairways. This is no good. It's not going to work.
Yep.
And it soon established itself as a purpose-built and the standard, and it was lovely. The fairway I did prefer to drive. I thought it was nice and easy, but we had no aircon. No one had aircon back then. That
You
was
could
a
have it
proper
fitted.
luxury.
It used to be firm in Bethnal Green
But they
Road.
don't want all the warranty claims. That's why they try and improve it as it goes along. They don't want all the warranty claims because it costs them money, and at the end of the day, it would make the cab more expensive, and that's why the cab would go up in price.
Well, you've only the last generation of TXs. The rads used to go. The radiators used to go.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had members that had 11 and 12 radiators before somebody eventually designed a better radiator. Well, that doesn't happen now. To be fair to LEVC now, they get a problem like they did with the E-Rads, like they had with the windscreens cracking initially. They're on it and they throw money at it, and then instantly they stop the production line until they've sorted it. Then they change them online and they don't come out with the problems they had.
One thing that their solution isn't seeming to be forthcoming is this higher light, though. What do you think about that, Steve?
I can tell you the problem with a highlight is for them to fix it, you've got to redesign the roof line because it wouldn't be aerodynamic. To do a retrofit on it would be extremely expensive and very difficult. What you'd have to do, you'd have to drill in from the outside because you can't get it from the inside to change it. You'd have to cut the glass out, fit some sort of LED.
See, no one, even from LEVC, has said this to me.
Hold on, but you haven't even pointed out, for those who don't know, including me, what is the problem you're looking at? I have no idea what you're talking about.
In sunlight, it looks like it's on when it's not. So
Oh,
when you're POV,
it's got no shade. It's got no visor.
no. But again, going back to the fairways, it was a problem with the fairways as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And then what happened? There used to be a garage. God, how old am I? There used to be a garage called Yorkway Motors.
We could do
And
another podcast. How old is Steve?
How old? They designed an LED light that you could have fitted as a retrofit. Not LED. What's the old tubes called?
Oh, God. Neon.
Neon. They had a neon light, like a small neon light. And what it said the word taxi that lit up on a black background.
Yeah.
Or was it black on? I can't remember. And they were great. But they were about £100 and not many people haven't fitted. And when I first went to see LEVC and they were designing the cab, I tried to get one to take it and show them how good it was. But obviously I never. And
So what have they gone for? They've gone for LED.
look, the angle of it's all wrong. And they went with the aerodynamics. And the problem they've got now
It works in the winter.
Yeah.
It works in the winter.
The problem they've got now is to retrofit 5,500 cabs would be colossally expensive.
Yeah.
Possibly, get water egress and problems and all of that. And I know they're trying to look at sticking films over it. They're looking at...
I tried that.
Yeah, they're looking at putting a cap on it, some sort of like baseball cap thing. But the problem with that is it catches... It's not aerodynamic.
Catches the wind, blows off.
And in the old fairways, when people used to take them through car washes and they used to get bent back. And all of that is
Risky. It's really risky.
in the reputation
So
of the vehicle.
do you think, Steve, that thing is just, you've got to live with it, stop moaning about it?
I can't see him change. I mean, I don't know any more than anybody else.
Yeah, but what is your opinion like?
My opinion is they won't do it till they bring out another model, which is probably 3 or 4 years away.
Yeah. So the only issue you're having, which I've had before myself anyway, is you're getting flagged down when you're not for hire.
Yeah, it annoys people, but equally, it's much better than with the old fairways when you'd have your light on and people would nail you down because they think you had someone in. So this is slightly better than it used to be.
Yeah, and you can see how busy the street is
Yeah.
at any one time.
Yeah, it's the opposite of what it used to be.
Yeah.
But it is a problem. But look, if that's the worst problem we've got, and it is the worst problem we've got.
It is with the cab. That is the biggest issue with the cab,
And-
as well as I see it, and as most drivers would see it. As a working driver, that is the biggest issue.
That is minor.
Look, I used to drive cabs with a timing chain that had to be changed every 10,000 miles. 10,000, not 100,000, 10,000. Where the injectors would have to be changed every 15,000. So, welcome to our world.
Do you know how often you have to change the brake pads on the TXE?
Very rarely.
Is it?
A rental driver, every 30 on the back, and they're obviously hammering it a bit more, and every 30,000, and every 100 to 120,000 on the front.
Yeah.
I've only changed one set of front brake
So,
pads so far in my
there
whole
are
fleet.
there are a massive abundance of other perks with the new
Yeah,
cab
but we
that people are
focus,
not
on,
looking for.
we focus on the negative. It's the cab trade.
Yeah, get real. Dean.
Highlight's a problem.
Yeah.
It's cheap to run. It's aircon. All looks great. Everything works great. It's cheap. No. Let's moan about the highlight. 'Cause that's what we
Yeah,
do.
highlight,
do.
and it's expensive.
And it's expensive. Yeah.
And then when we include the fact of how much we're costing it, we also cost in the fact of the higher purchase, which is basically
We add another 10 grand
spinning
because
the
it sounds
PR
worse.
to make it sound worse. Yeah, which I kind of feel it's a 60 grand cab, isn't it?
Yeah, well, 65.
65 now.
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
thought it
Price gone up.
Oh, what recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I'm not. Tell me what hasn't gone up.
Yeah.
We've just ordered a new van. We did it for our papers, a new electric van, and that's just gone up. We ordered it just before. The guy phoned me up and said, because we ordered it last week, they've now gone up $5,000. $5,000.
I'm assuming you've bought the LEVC van, Steve.
No, we bought a pure EV one.
Oh, you bought a pure EV one.
Pure EV one does 200 mile, congestion charge exempt and all of that.
Nice. Yeah.
And it's bigger. Because the funny bit is, during the pandemic, we cut our paper run down massively. But we're back up to sort of 16 or 18,000 copies now, and we're getting through them all. And our delivery guys just out all day long pumping them out. So that tells you how much things have picked up.
Yeah, that's really good news.
Yeah.
That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
Uber was always, and when I say Uber, I mean Bolt and all of them, they're always an uneconomic business model. Because what they were doing, their venture capitalists were pumping money in, which was being pumped out in subsidised rides, coupons, free rides, vouchers, discount codes, and God knows what. And it was always a mystery to me, because I can open a shop next to Marks and Spencer's tomorrow and put Marks and Spencer's out of business, because I could sell milk for a penny a pint.
Yeah.
I could sell their T-shirts and sweatshirts or whatever they sell for a quarter of the price. I wouldn't be making any money because it's costing me more to buy, but I could put Marks's out of business. And that was their business model.
Of course.
And of course, what's happened now is some of the venture capitalists can get a return on their money because the interest rates are slightly up. Rather than keep throwing money at a wall when hoping it sticks, which is what they were doing, they're now pulling it out. So as a result of that, Uber have had to be a bit more economic. They're raising their prices, and Bolt and the others as well. And you've now got a situation where various things that we have had brought in, not just us, but the countrywide, that regulation changes. And one of the big things that's massively impacting on private hire numbers at the moment is this new tax code. You go to renew your licence now, your taxi or private hire, you have to have a HMRC code. Now, that's not a problem to black cab drivers because we're all registered. Many private hire drivers weren't. And so now they're looking at, I'm earning very little money anyway. If I've got to start paying 20% tax on it, and we're seeing a lot of renewals are not happening.
Yeah.
And it's only just started. And all of those little changes, the topographical knowledge, the English language, we're desperately trying to get an enhanced driving test brought back, which was something that was stopped for us as well as anyone.
We need that.
And all of these things have pushed the cost burden. I mean, one of the big wins that we had, and of course you only ever get told all the things you've lost. You've lost Bishopsgate. And that's we're still waiting for the Supreme Court on that. But you've lost Bishopsgate. You've never won anything. Well, the stuff that you take for granted is the stuff that no one knows about. So you can be driving. Can you still have a TX2? You can have an early TX4. You can be driving a TX4, which is Euro 4, right? Or Euro 5, which is about as dirty as it gets. You don't pay the ULEZ. You don't pay the congestion charge. You're exempt. If you're driving a minicab and you've got either of those two vehicles, you're paying the ULEZ and the congestion charge.
And you're earning less.
And we're exempt.
Yeah.
It's those sorts of little victories that we've had that have all contributed. It's all these little things, but of course we never won anything. We've always only, because the game's dead, we've only ever lost things, and we haven't. And some of the stuff we've won, the small things like the HMRC thing came about as a recommendation in a task and finish group that I sat on at the DFT, amongst many others that have yet to be implemented, but are gradually coming in. Statutory standards is being consulted on at the moment. We're very optimistic that an enhanced driving test will be required as a result of that. I mean, look, let's just tell you why. TfL consulted on the enhanced driving test, bringing it back in 2017, 2018. The response has never been published. And the reason is that they've looked at it. The minicab industry is up in arms because they're already getting hit with congestion charge, and they knew ULEZ was coming. They're being hit with English language. They're being hit with topographical. And somebody at TfL or City Hall took a decision that I just can't keep beating up my voters, and the minicab industry has had enough. Leave them alone. And that's why it wasn't brought in.
Yeah.
But now, statutory standards, it might be a nationwide thing, countrywide thing. We think that will come in as well. And again, that'll be good for us. Be bad for anyone who's done the knowledge in the last 3 years, because you're going to have to go and do an enhanced test before you can renew it. But but equally, it's going to be much harder for someone who's been driving a minicab or is thinking of driving a minicab. It's just something else they've got to do. And let's be honest, they need the enhanced driving test, because some of them they're driving is absolutely
straight.
And a lot of them drivers, instead of thinking I'm going to go and drive a minicab, they're just going to deliver food in their suburbs because there's less, regulatory stuff to do. Or come and do the knowledge while you're doing the delivery driving.
You could get a return to the gypsy cabs in Cornhill, sitting up there just waiting around. The old days.
No.
Yeah,
not
well,
now.
again,
not now.
ANPR and all that.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not sure
no,
that's
no.
gonna be-
It's true. It's true.
It's a different world. I mean,
Yeah.
see, anyone who's only been around, forget, outside every nightclub, every bar, restaurant, there was a line of touts everywhere.
Completely.
And it was an absolute nightmare. And
I
it's
remember
so
5
hard.
in the back of a Granada.
And again, look,
during the war.
those are the days. And again, they're things you forget about.
Yeah.
Because they've gone.
Yeah.
But look, where are we going? We're only going one way. The game's getting better and better.
Yeah.
We're getting more and more secure. And we have got genuinely a really, really good future.
Yeah.
And anyone who's thinking about doing the knowledge, come and do it. The good thing about the knowledge is, at the moment, we're becoming very representative of London's ethnic breakdown. We've got people now. If you, you must see it here.
We do, yeah.
You see it. You go down to Baker Street now, where they do the appearances, and I go down there occasionally. Look around the waiting room, and it's a Snapchat. It's a
Snapshot.
Snapshot. That's the word. Snapchat's an app. Yeah, I do know some stuff.
You're on Snapchat, aren't you, Steve?
I've got
Definitely.
that,
Yeah. Knew it.
TikTok. Right? You've got and it's like a sample of London.
Yes.
The only thing where we're lacking is the number of women. We're still
Yeah.
at 2 and 3%, and as I said to you earlier, I don't know what it is, but we are now so represented. The police are talking about positive discrimination, the fire brigade trying to get people of different ethnic backgrounds. We're doing it, and we're doing it, and the reason we're doing it is because we've got a lot of Somalians driving cabs now, and what they did, some of them did the knowledge. They've now told their friends, just like you were saying, friends and family relations.
Yeah.
And honestly, I went to we got a Heathrow branch, and I went to a Heathrow branch. And I would say 95% of the people in the room didn't look like me. That's probably a good thing, some people say. But it was really good. And they had so much input and where they're going, and they loved the job. And, this is a job for anyone. If you love London and you like people, Christ, it can't be a better job going.
Nah.
Yeah.
No, exactly that. It is so inclusive. It's so inclusive, and you'll get so much help from your fellow driver as well. People think, we're all against each other. I don't think that's true, I really don't.
Unless you're on social media.
Of course, yeah. But out there in the job, it's not like that.
I have some views on that part as well, the social media. The basically your judge and jury on the social media about bad behaviour and good behaviour. They're filming each other. And a lot of them I've seen where they've filmed the cab driver who they think is doing something bad. I think to myself, there's a big grey area there, and you're kind of trying to blacklist somebody.
Yeah.
And one day it'll be you accidentally doing whatever it is that's going on, and you're on the other side of the camera being filmed. It's not a good thing to be doing.
No.
It's very unrepresentative. It's a few people. I mean, social media, the vast majority of people on there, cab driver. We've got an awful, especially Twitter. I speak to a lot of cab drivers now, just come off. They just can't stand the negativity.
Yes.
And it's why I'm on there. And you know, it's a very small number of people doing it.
Yeah.
But there's some of them have got 10 accounts. I don't know if you know, they talk to themselves all day.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I delete them and block them. I'm not. I don't debate or anything. I what was it? The guy. One guy once said this should be a freedom of speech platform. You're sort of taking away our freedom of speech. And I said, when you can spell speech rather than peach, the way the speech is supposed to be, then maybe you should have the freedom to say what you like. It was ridiculous.
It's like the old days when you walked into a pub and everyone stared at you. That's the sort of thing that happens when you first go on Twitter. It's like, you know,
When I first drove a cab, we used to go in cabs, and there was lots of T-stops and cabs.
Yeah.
And there'd be a group of guys in the corner, the doom and gloom merchants, and you stay away from them, and you could avoid them. Now you can't, because they're following you around now. They're in your phone, trolling. But it's the same people.
It's a generation gone. They all used to be playing Kaluki, Steve.
That's it, Kaluki, yeah. I mean, there's a Kaluki club at the airport, as you know. Yeah, look.
It's all gone, isn't it?
Last time I was out in here, no, I haven't seen it.
It's all gone. So the whole generation's gone. And like you said, there used to be cafes everywhere. There was a cafe under the Westway. There was the Union Street off of Southwark Bridge Road. There was everywhere you went. There was a taxi garage where you could pull in and get spares and repairs in the middle of the night. But
I want to bring that back.
What, the spares and repairs? Well,
No, not spare. Well, yeah, that and
somewhere to go.
somewhere to go. I want to bring that back, but somewhere to go with charging.
There used to be all the
That's
Granbys.
another-
There was a Granby at King's Cross. There was one in Euston
Yes,
Road.
yes.
There was the post office.
What was the
opposite.
best one, Steve, that you went to?
I used to like Herbrand Street.
All right.
Herbrand Street was a good one. That was the one that had the garage on the first floor. Lee Phillips, LP Motors, who unfortunately died very young, he ran that.
What, he had food there?
Yeah, had a really good restaurant on the top floor. Doug Sherry was under the arches,
Right.
but where the Royal Northern Hotel is, just behind there used to be a porter cabin that was the Granby. And then opposite King's Cross, in the like old history.
I think you are going back before me there. I don't think
It's
that
really
was there, that
interesting,
one, the
that.
Granby.
It was a different world, and everybody had a moniker or a name. I did a thing at Georgie Vi's, Gorgeous Georgie's funeral on Monday.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you get talking about
The old days.
the old days, and people you knew, and old cab drivers. You know, old cab drivers I've known and loved, and all of that. And there's still a few of them around, but I mean, there was some faces in this game. I mean, there were some characters.
Yeah.
I read that he was behind the fact that we could have a radio in the cab. What year did we start having a radio in the cab?
That would have been about 82, 81, 82. Yeah, I mean, George was always, you know, I mean, I'll tell you some great stories about George. He was, he used to have he was to do with a garage in the city in Paul Street, not Paul Street Motors, which was in Hornsey, but he had a garage, and they used to rent out a Fairway FX4R Highline. So this was an FX4 which had the Rover engine that wouldn't go up Highgate Hill. And they used to fit vinyl roofs on them. And they were like, wow, it's got a vinyl roof and a radio. And I went down there to rent one of him when I first got out. And he sort of looked at me, looked me up and down. I had a pair of jeans on and, you know. Yeah. And he went, no, son. And he wouldn't rent me a cab because I weren't dressed. I didn't look the part.
I like that. Yeah, we should go back to that.
I don't know.
You know,
Because some of the dress sense now, it's
well, I mean,
questionable.
there was all sorts of stories. I mean, one of the things that one of them was telling me, he used to work at the airport, Jules, and his cab was like your front room. They were immaculate. He used to have them spray, get a brand new cab, have it painted, stripped and repainted. And at that time of day, you could bang the window on a Fairway and pull it down in the back.
Yeah.
You couldn't lock them. There was a little thing, and they used to. And what they did, he was in the canteen, and his immaculate cab was in the feeder park. And they got a tramp off the Bath Road. They give him, whatever they give him, 50p or a pound or whatever, give him a crusty cheese roll and sat him in the back of George's cab. Because George has come out of the canteen and there's this old geezer sitting there with his crumbs, or you can imagine, absolute. Of course, they've all run off and left him.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And that was, you know, just
Some of the wind-ups.
It was a different generation, wasn't it? It was the game has completely changed. We're in a
I don't
different
know. I
world
think
now.
there's still, you know, there's still a few people around. Just as funny.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there's some people up the airport for sure. I like going up the airport to work because you get a bit of downtime and you get to know some cab drivers. That
I
you've
used to
never
love the
met.
airport.
That for me is interesting to I mean, there's a guy up there. There's a guy up there that's got his what do we call him? SpongeBob.
SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Because of his trousers or his head?
You never seen him?
SpongeBob, I know, but like, seen the guy up there they call SpongeBob.
Yeah.
You know why they call him SpongeBob?
He wears square pants. I don't know.
He dresses exactly like SpongeBob.
He's got my
No,
braces.
he wears the shorts, the yellow shorts. He is a dead ring up a SpongeBob.
And he's got all the characters in the back of the cab.
Oh, he
He's got all the
enjoys it. And
teddy
he
bears.
plays. Oh, he's real.
He's got all the
Oh, it's real.
He's got all the teddy bears in the back of his cab, and I was coming along Pall Mall the other day, and I've seen him coming the other way with punters in, and they're just surrounded by all these toys, and I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, and he's got this massive hat on.
How old is he?
In his 40s, I think.
Older than that, I think.
Is he?
I mean,
yeah.
SpongeBob. My kids have watched it and like it. I mean, and I'm getting a little bit into it now. But
You could do it. There's nothing stopping you getting a pair of them shorts. And,
But he when there's no North Park, so when the North Park's empty, sometimes he'll jump on a skateboard and electric skateboard, and he'll just be doing laps of the North
On
on the skateboard, you know.
yeah, I think eccentric's one term for it.
And there's another
Yeah,
guy up
yeah.
there that plays his guitar in the back of the cab.
well, that's okay.
You know, there's a guy up there who sunbathes.
Yeah, the old
You know,
days
got-
they used to have the little square televisions plugging in and watching EastEnders. My mate used to get.
Yeah, there's
into that
plenty
one.
of them with their iPad over.
Well, the
thing
iPad
and-
now.
Yeah, but
that's
now, because you're doing so little time at the airport,
Oh yeah.
because the game is, as we were just saying, the game is so good. It's not the holiday destination it once was. You know, you don't go and sit out there for your holidays.
So
It
what-
reminded me of a question.
Yeah,
actually.
no, well, go on. I was going to ask the same one.
Yeah. Was it about the tags?
Well, yeah. Why can't we? Everybody have a tag?
Why can't everybody have a tag up the airport, Steve?
Right, because there was they've got a load of new tags being delivered, and I'm told it's going to change in July. They're going to start
big news.
They're going to start issuing them. But the problem was that 2015 onwards, as we've already discussed, there was a massive problem with cabs blocking Newell Road. You know, the road that
Yes.
goes into the feeder.
That's how far back the feeder was going.
Completely. It was blocking the perimeter road as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, I've been in that.
Even today, even though as busy as it is, there's still a problem on the approach road at T5, Terminal 5, because if you get a return ticket and people go back to the 5, there's no way of knowing
Because of the buffer.
on the buffer,
Yeah.
and that's causing problems there. And 'cause HAL or Heathrow Airport are now looking at obviously, them problems are gradually going. The numbers that we're putting through the airport now, the number of rides that we're doing have gone up massively.
Yeah.
And there are times it's not quite as bad as it's portrayed on social media. You know, it's in and out all day long. We haven't got any cabs. Not quite like that.
Yeah.
But there are occasions when it's a problem. And I think Heathrow, we've certainly made them aware of it. I was talking to the ground transport manager over email a fortnight ago, and he told me they were coming in July, and so let's wait and see. I think it will get started.
An amount is coming or an open
No,
ended amount?
they've got a new supply of tags. They've completely run out of tags.
Oh, so the reason there's no more tags going out is just because they ran out?
Yeah, they didn't have it, and the system's old, and the software's old, and the
Are they putting a new system in? Is that true,
They're
Steve?
looking at putting a new system in.
Because I heard it was going to be a bit more digitalised. Because I go up to the barrier now, and it can't even recognise my tag because of the electric cab. They do electric cab, so you have to take it off the window,
Yeah.
and point it up to the sky,
Right,
and it
that-
will bleep you through.
But you got the tag that I've got, the old thick one.
I don't know.
The white one, the white block.
I haven't got the white block.
I've still got one of them.
Yeah, I still got mine.
See, this is another thing. So people who don't use them, they should be asked to hand them back and given to
I don't know
the
if it
next
works
driver.
though, does it? It's probably.
I don't even know mine still works. Probably
Yeah,
old
it's-
technology.
This is
Old
the thing. So
technology.
why don't they? And this might be an idea that we can put up. Is why don't all the people that haven't used them for a period of certain, like maybe 2 years, hand them back. Don't hand your badge back. Just hand your tag back and give it to
back. You want to keep it, don't
give
you?
it to the students that are coming out.
Yeah, I don't. Look, it needs to be where look,
Have enough tags.
have enough tags.
Yeah.
But equally, you
But
can
in that time, we could have done a bit of a renewables job. You know,
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
upcycling, green upcycling,
Yeah.
and recycling.
green upcycling.
The
Yeah.
funny thing is, I was under the impression it was
Avocado.
a deliberate act rather than a shortage of badges. I was under the impression that we're cutting it off there. There's a
Make it look
Heathrow
busier.
gang now. You're the Heathrow gang.
Well, a lot of people think that, Dean, and you're not wrong to think that. A lot of people did think that, and there's a lot of complaints. It's all social media, obviously. It's what stuff that I read.
They've got a waiting list at the moment,
Yeah.
and when a tag gets returned, they put it straight out.
Yeah.
So and
But no one would return a tag. That's my
like I
point.
say, mine's sitting in my drawer at home. But equally, I don't think mine.
I don't
would
think
work.
mine works. Steve.
No,
They've
but
got
it's
to be
not
using
about.
a
It's
different
not. It's
tag
not
now.
the fact that it doesn't work. It's one. It's a number. So your tag goes
Counts?
back. If you returned your tag, Steve,
You're saying we're on that numbered
you
list.
two
we're
are part
counted
of
as
the problem.
No, but they have. If I give them back my tag, it's no good. They can't give it to anyone else. It won't
Mm.
work. And
Yeah.
they haven't got enough new tags.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So they're all
Okay.
It's like if you give your tag back, someone would be able to use it.
Right.
But my tag would be no good to anyone.
Yeah.
I've got a Betamax tag. Well, it's about right. I think.
Yeah.
I reckon you should return it. Both
Yeah.
of you should return it, but
No,
not your
no.
badges. Keep your badges.
next time
but
I'll
you've
find
got to
it, I'll
return your
post it to
tags.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know then. So in July, that roughly might be something to...
That's a good bit of news. Hopefully that comes off, you know.
But is that rumour, Steve, or is that
No, that's what the guy told me. I mean, because I was also... One of the big problems at the airport as well is there's a lot of Muslims guys out there. And there's no... They built this little lean-to prayer room around the side. I mean, it's like...
Yeah, I know.
Timber and I've been puzzled for some time why they can't stick a porta cabin now.
Yeah.
You know, multi-faith porta cabin, reasonable size, cost them nothing, put a bit of power on. And if somebody... wants to go and pray in there, and fine. And one of the things we haven't touched on is TfL's new driver policy, which was sneaked in on us without consultation. Their new taxi and private hire driver policy. If you get 6 points on your licence, 6 points, not 12, they can refuse or revoke your licence.
Is that the same with taxi?
Taxi, 6 points.
Seriously? What, even on a renewal?
Even on a renewal.
I'm in trouble.
For us?
Yeah.
I'm in trouble.
It's 6 points in one go, not 2 lots of 3. So if you get an offence to get 6 points. So I'll give you a scenario, right?
Yeah.
And anyone who's holding a phone while they're driving now is just plain mad.
Yeah.
There is an army of cyclists out there with head cams filming you in the cab. So you stops at a set of lights, you think, I'll just read the email, yeah? Guy pulls up alongside you on the bike, films you. You're not driving, you're sitting at the lights. 6 points, and the police prosecute every time, because they don't have to go out and actually do anything.
And they're using the evidence of the cyclist.
Using the evidence of the cyclist.
Yeah, I've had them through.
Yeah.
Not for me, but for drivers.
You get 6 points. TfL can now revoke your licence on those 6 points. Now, we haven't had any revokes yet, or revocations yet, but the bottom line is the policy's been changed. But how about this one? This is the real policy that's come in. It's absolutely scary. You go on holiday, and you're away a lot. You go on holiday, and you don't see the letter that comes through. You know, who was the driver one. And you leave it, on the fridge, or you don't get it, or for whatever reason you don't reply, and you wind up getting 6 points for failing to notify who the driver was. Quite common. And it's happening to a lot of fleet proprietors as well. We've had a few. So you get 6 points for that today. In 4 years' time, in 3 years' time, them points have gone. They've taken off your licence, and they're no longer countable or valid. And in 4 years' time, it's actually physically removed from your licence. So you've got a totally clean licence. If in 4 years' time you were to get another one of those, or you were to get 6 points for looking at your phone or anything like that, 7 year revocation. 7 years. You don't get that for manslaughter.
7 years of losing your licence to drive, not a car.
A cab.
A cab.
Yeah, a cab.
7 years not unable to drive a cab.
Yes.
And that's taking away your livelihood for that single
7 years. Absolutely.
So are you saying this is why we need to be a member of a union to get defence on that?
There's one thing, but the other thing is you've got to have to take bloody care now. I mean, the consequences are too serious.
I'll give you another one. You get 12 points, and we've got we've got a number of members who are driving on 12 points because our lawyers have made very good arguments for exceptional hardship, for whatever reason it might be.
Yeah.
And so the magistrates have decided that you've got 12 points, but I'm going to let you carry on driving because of those exceptional hardship reasons. So I'm letting you keep your DVLA licence. TfL absolutely 100% will revoke your cab licence. Yet you've got a magistrate who, having heard all the facts and heard all the circumstances and seen everything, has decided, no, you can carry on working. Someone sitting in Sheffield has decided, no, there's your licence revoked, you can't. So obviously what will be happening, we will be appealing those revocations to the magistrates' court. So what's going to happen then? We're going to be going back to the magistrates' court saying, you made a decision, and this lot have decided they're going to make another decision. What they're proposing is outrageous, and 100% it's come about from internal TfL lobbying from the cycle lobby. They are the ones that have been campaigning for this, and it's the sort of stuff that we've currently got it raised, and we're going to be just talking about it with TfL again. They sneaked it through quite sneakily, and that with the army of cameras that are out there now, the 20-mile-an-hour cameras and everything else, and the complaints and the cyclists video cameras. If you don't belong to, obviously I think you should join the LTDA.
Obviously.
But if you don't, you certainly belong in a trade group. You just cannot be out there at the moment without any representation.
It's like going out there without a dash cam.
Yeah, and people having
same thing.
It's not even that. It's complaints and
complaints,
unwarranted complaints. I mean, and medicals. You can't get your medical done. The doctor done. But anything like that. There's a problem with your DBS. That's what we do all day long. We've got 5 full-time call takers, and all they do is licensing. You've got to renew your license. There's a problem. You know, they do it all day long. That's what they do. Every problem you've got, they've heard of.
Yeah.
Your medical, you've got a problem with your medical. You've got to have a stress test. You know, sometimes you've had heart problems. That's what they do all day long. And, you know, we get lots of calls and walk-ins from blokes. I'm not a member, mate, but...
Yeah.
And it don't work like that. You don't ring direct line the day you've had an accident. I've sent my car written off, can't take out an insurance policy. It doesn't work like that.
They're doing that with our trade, aren't they? They always turn up. They're always coming to me and saying, I've got a problem. Why didn't you join the LTD? Certainly as knowledge students, why didn't you join free? But then they join immediately and then they try and use the perks as best they can.
But it depends what it is. I mean, sometimes, you know, minor things we can help people with. But I'm certainly, I mean, our legal bill, we've got 2 in-house lawyers. We've got 2 full-time lawyers who do nothing but represent members.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't... Look, it's a horror story, yeah? I'm not going to tell you what it was. One of our members got arrested a few weeks ago, no, a couple of months ago now, for something he's absolutely 100% innocent of it. I've seen all the evidence. I've seen it. He's absolutely innocent, yeah? He's been charged with quite a serious offence. And we, and when I say we, it was me and one of the lawyers, spent a Sunday afternoon in a certain street in a certain part of London, knocking on doors, getting CCTV and stuff, which we managed to do. Fortunately, a complete fluke how we got it. The police hadn't got it. They never had this. And this evidence that we've got completely shows the timeline's totally different. What someone said happened can't have happened because for various reasons. I'm now... You never know with courts, but I'm now pretty confident that as a result of that, this man will be rightly acquitted because he is innocent. This shows he's innocent. You know, this shows his innocence. If he hadn't been a member of ours, that footage wouldn't have been got.
So hold on, what you're saying is that it's not just about driving offences and cab offences. This could be anything. He could have done anything on his time off or whatever.
We represent you for anything that may affect your cab licence.
Right.
So...
Of course.
Road rage, you know, all the sort of things that can happen. And it doesn't happen to 99% of people.
Yeah.
Like this guy that I'm talking about at the moment, been a member for about 20 years, never had a parking ticket. Well, we look at he's never even phoned us. He was just wrong place, wrong time. Incredibly unlucky. For all the cards just fell wrong. And he's wound up being accused of something horrendous that he didn't do. And we're pretty confident now that we're going to be able to prove he didn't do it. And at the moment, obviously, his licence has been revoked, and because he's chopped up, we're pretty confident we'll get his licence back. We'll get him acquitted at court. I mean, this guy, he couldn't get bail. They had him locked up. He couldn't get bail. We managed to get him bail because when we went to the hearing with the judge, we was able to say, hang on, look at this.
Yeah.
This is, hang on, that told me.
It's not by luck then, because you went out and knocked the door.
Yeah,
it's not luck at all.
Saying to the police, you know, well, and of course the police are going, well, you know,
yeah,
and instantly that puts everybody else wrong. Yeah. It puts the accusers and people wrong. And there it is, you know, on I won't call it high definition, but it's quite clear CCTV. Yeah.
This comes down to their investigative things as well. The police do not investigate to the degree.
You know, the police are pretty useless for all the reasons we now know. They're underfunded, they haven't got enough staff. A lot of them sit in rooms all day waiting for cyclists to send them pictures of and they'll pursue that sort of stuff to the end of the earth. Look, if you don't send a form back telling them who's driving, they'll chase you, they'll hound you to the ends of the earth, yeah? You go and snatch a mobile phone off someone, you'll get an email from them saying, we're not going to investigate, we can't do it. Is someone snatches your mobile phone, you know, good luck is your crime number. Yeah. Right, but equally, there's an army of them sitting in Sidcup, issuing PCNs and notices, and the mayor has given them an instruction. He wants 1 million speeding fines issued next year in London. It's 500,000 this year, and he's instructed them to find 1 million speeding fines.
Is this for over 20s?
Just speeding fines. He hasn't designated it, but with a number of 20 mile an hour limits, that is what's going to happen. They're going to be out there targeting people. So, you know, 1 million speeding fines. Yeah. And the reason is, and while they're all doing that, and while they're all out there trying to get 1 million, well, not out there, they're sitting in an office trying to get 1 million speed fines, as you know, there's people getting robbed, mugged, and God knows what on the streets of the metropolis. And it's a pretty fair argument that the old Bill now has just got their priorities totally wrong.
Yeah. Well, I'm certainly glad I'm a member.
And what you're seeing now, and we see it all the time, is the police sometimes issue appeals for help and stuff like that. And we get people saying, well, why bother? The only time I ever hear from them is when I get a letter through telling me I was doing 43 mile an hour on the A12. Why am I going to help them? And they don't realise that's happening. They're losing. The big thing is the police in the UK police by consent. That's what we've always said. You know, for the people, with the people, and all of that.
Yeah.
But it's got to the stage now where they're peeing off so many people, the sort of people who normally would have been their backers. You know, the people who
We used to be treated specially by the police, didn't we? We had the eyes and ears.
Yeah, and exactly right. And now they wonder, you know, like they come up to me this morning, they want help finding some lost bloke. Okay, that's fine. But when they come on with some crime stuff, sometimes you think, well, why am I helping you? All you ever do is come after us. And yet when something happens, you've got no policeman to come round. But as I keep saying, you've got, you know, God knows how many people sitting in that address in Sidcup issuing speeding fines all day long and coming round and knocking on your door if you don't reply. Yet, you know, you could be laying in hospital having just been mugged, but they won't come and see you there.
Yeah.
And that's
True.
why. And you know, and I personally have just sort of lost all confidence in them, to be honest with you. You know,
We've got to self-police in a lot of ways these days. You know, that's what's abundantly clear by what Steve's saying. You got to self-police. You got to do your own investigations and pay your own people to do things. That's just the way things are.
The wealthy people have all got these patrols, haven't they, in their own streets. You see them. You know,
Go to Hampstead Garden suburb, you'll see it all.
These security firms.
Yeah.
And the reason they're doing that is because they've got no confidence in the old bill and they can afford to pay for it.
Yes.
Unfortunately, if you live in a council flat in an inner city part of London, the odds on you seeing a policeman is virtually nil.
Yeah.
But hey-ho, hopefully this new commissioner, as and when we get him, might look at sorting it. But
There's always hope.
I doubt it.
There's always hope.
Anyway,
So,
rant over.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. I think that's
Lovely.
about it. I think that's
I
been
think so.
excellent. Yeah.
Brilliant.
We've done an
Thank
hour.
you.
We've done an hour.
Steve, thank you for coming along. Steve from the
no worries.
LTDA, and obviously, hopefully, everybody who's doing the knowledge joins the LTDA.
Brilliant.
Hey,
Those
you're
that
mad
join.
if you don't. Absolutely nuts if you don't. And equally, with a number of PCNs that we are now seeing,